Jarin or nature itself. What do you think, dear friend, if an embodiment of nature itself appeared in our world, what would it look like? Like a blob of energy? Or an elemental? What if it looked like an ordinary human being? What purpose would it serve? To save our world, or to destroy it? Would it be considered a deity or not? I want to tell you about the power of love and the power of nature itself, the power to resist all evil, the evil that sits in all of us, and only true love can save our hearts. How best to describe me? Once I was a fish swimming in a lake. Another day, I'm a bird flying in the open sky. And another day, I'm small and walk in a group. And sometimes I am a great dinosaur. From the heat of a volcanic eruption until the flowers begin to bloom. Just like that, I've lived and died thousands of times. Being all sorts of creatures. Remembering all my past lives. And then again they caught me. Millions of years of memories, and the only creatures I have animosity towards are humans. Every time I reached the end of my life, being killed by a stronger being was the order of the day. It was the natural way to evolve, and I was fine with that. However, these creatures take the lives of others for pleasure. Even their killing methods are constantly improving, and there is no way to resist. Thousands of my lives have been lost because of them. Even though my life meant nothing to me, I still feel hatred towards them. Millions of years of life, and every time I approach death's door, I have these questions. What kind of being will I be born into in the next life? Why am I being reborn? And when does it all end? Please, I don't want to be reborn again. And just like that, my life begins anew. The pain of birth, like my whole body is being crushed. That pain. I'm pretty sure I'm a mammal this time. After my last experience, I haven't felt pain this intense. This pain makes me enjoy this life. As far as I know, the more pain I experience, the higher I get at the top of the food chain. I wonder how long it's been. Breaking out of the layer covering me, feeling the cold air, along with the warm opposing cold touch surrounding me. This life, though my vision was blurry, I could identify immediately. The only beings I feel hostility towards. I was reborn as a human being. Baby, or Jain, that's what they call me. It's the first time I have a name. People's lives are complicated. We are all beings, but they make distinctions between countries, races, and things. They name everything in the world and give it meaning. Jarin is 6 years old. His mother took him to the doctor as she wants to know why her child still doesn't talk and never cried even when he was born. The doctor insinuates that it's psychological, but she doesn't like the implication that her son is supposedly crazy. My mother's name is Young-sil. She's ignorant and unhappy. She lost her family in a war, and lost her husband in another war not much later. For her, the world was harsh and ruthless. However, she had a clot of blood to take care of. To make ends meet, she put me on her back and sold vegetables at the local market. Young-sil heard somewhere that if you say beautiful words to a child, it will grow up to be beautiful. Even though there was no answer, Young-sil kept saying to Jain, "I love you." I couldn't understand what she was saying, but it was a warm feeling. Jain didn't hate it. And there was one glaring difference in this life. Watching people chasing after someone. Jain decided to test his strength. Adult human beings, I thought it would be perfect to test it. A frog. Cheetah. Argentinosaurus. Yes, I was sure. I'd never had this ability before. All the creatures I once lived with. I was born with all their powers. Why? I don't know. But it was clear to me. This is the end of my long journey. This is my last life. At last. I can die. Looking at the immobilized body of the man in front of him, Jae-in thought about his strength and missed a punch. Jae-in realizes that he is in pain. The body is small and fragile if you don't use your powers, but once you start the mental process of using your power, the body becomes invulnerable. It was a turtle. By taking this bandit by the neck, I'm using chimpanzee. And as long as I don't manifest it, I can be anything. And then a gunshot rang out that pierced Jae-in's body through, and the shooter was the one who was running away from the bandits. Do not do good, you will not get evil. Jae-in fell to the ground and lost consciousness. After a while, he realized that he was hit again by this strange thing that brings a lot of pain. Am I really dying? All Jae-in thought, and using the sea cucumber's powers to regenerative abilities, Jae-in healed himself and got up. And it's all the fault of his self-preservation instinct from his past lives. What kind of creature am I? Jae-in thought. He hears young Sil screaming for his son, for there is nothing more painful than losing a child. One tug and the sparrow is gone. Only he doesn't realize that eating the bird alive will cause intestinal problems. I can hunt on my own, I don't need a reason to be with her, Jae-in thought. I love you. And to the loud cheers of his mother, Jae-in set off. For days later, with no strength and energy, Jae-in collapsed on the ground and realized he had a fever and stomach problems. Even after experiencing this tens of thousands of times, it feels like something I'm not used to. Death. It's okay, I don't regret anything. If this is really the end. But then young Sil appeared out of nowhere, looking for her son for 4 days. And then Jae-in realized he wanted to eat the food this man had prepared. At this time, Jae-in realized that it was better to make her laugh than cry, so he decided to say the human words, the words that young Sil always said with a smile. I love you. Contrary to Jae-in's intentions, the ignorant and unhappy young Sil, no. Jae-in's mom started crying even harder. The sunset that night was especially beautiful. Sure. We'll just stay like this for a little while longer. Until I can be an independent person. Try to lead a human life. At the interrogation, the man who shot Jae-in told the detectives everything about shooting the kid, maybe even killing him, but there was nothing else around but the detective's body. So nobody believed him. And even the man who chased him just said that everything he said was a lie, wondering what his intentions were. After that dark day, afraid I'd get lost again, young Sil always held my hand tightly. A warm hand, a slight smile. I didn't hate what young Sil did for me. That's why I thought it might become dangerous. Every time, and almost every day, young Sil defended her child. From little bullies at school, from old people who don't like her child's silence, or from people who wanted to take away the place she's worked at since Jae-in was in her belly. Young Sil had always fought against the world. So time passed. I finally got used to the human way of life and body. It was time to leave, I thought. Young Sil's hand was so warm but rough. I asked why fight every day. She said she does it to protect me. What I was worried about happened. Now I don't want to leave. I want to spend more time with young Sil. But the past event cannot be erased, and those who wanted revenge, or to find out about it, always followed in search of Jae-in, and finally found him. The strongest survive. The weak become food for the strong. This is the law for all living beings in this world. Every being has been in this bond, and accepts this law. However, there is a death that no one understands. Death so that another can handle the heat. Death so that another can handle the cold. Death for the sake of development. For the sake of another being able to carry money. Some deaths were for decoration. Others were for another's pleasure. That's why I'm used to human society. Our neighborhood has changed a lot in the last couple of years. The roads have gotten smoother and the buildings taller. A new factory even grew next to our once clean river. And young Sil got sick. When I had breakfast with young Sil, I instinctively spit out my food. For some reason I knew immediately that there was something wrong with it. Then I had to stop young Sil from eating it. Jayan went to the market, to this filthy world. They destroy everything for their comfort, and their comfort leads to the pain of others. But why did young Sil have to be the one to get sick? Each person is unique. Human society came up with laws to keep the world peaceful. Then I've nurtured the one law that no one should ever break. Murder. The detective said he could have come to him sooner, but decided to watch the monster grow, to take him in. Jae-in was handcuffed under suspicion of espionage, which means young Sil will be charged as well. And at the same moment, the detective warned those behind him that they could die if they didn't step back. There was a loud clap, a bang that shook the ground. Jae-in ran at lightning speed. Ran towards young Sil. Whoever called me a monster, he underestimated me. I can become anything, but that day, for the world, I was a disaster. The reason humans are considered the center of the world, despite their weak constitution, is language. Their complex communication allowed them to form groups and develop civilization faster than any other species. I also understood their language. Is this unforgettable thing a blessing? Or a curse? At this time, Jae-in was heading towards young Sil at an incredible speed, whose house was already surrounded by investigators. Behind him is Jae-in, and all the detectives don't realize if he is definitely a spy. Maybe Detective Kim is mistaken. But then the door opened and young Sil saw the crowd that surrounded his son. At that very second, she started to shout for someone to come and help them, but she didn't get anything except a punch in the face. The human tongue could describe any situation. I got goosebumps. Anger reaches all the way to the top. I've lost touch with my mind. Click. And when I came to my senses, all those people were dead, and only young Sil could see it all from the outside. Again, I did it again. I should just kill them all, thought Ja-ing. But suddenly, young Sil stood in front of him and shouted that she had killed them all herself and her child was innocent. Young Sil didn't even have the strength to eat, but at this moment, she was running around like a mad woman. In that second, all the moments when young Sil said she was doing all this to protect me flashed through my mind. My breath hitched, and tears came down my face. She was just screaming about how I hadn't done anything and who should be arrested was her. I was crying and thinking about it, but suddenly I felt the investigator decide to take a shot at her to test me. But I didn't stop, I covered her from the bullet. Investigator Kim started laughing loudly and ordered everyone to shoot at young Sil. Unless you want to be dead like them. I can do it. I have to do it. All my lives. Feel it to the max. Beat back all the bullets. Stiffen up like an armadillo. And save Yen Sil. Everyone's in great shock at what they're seeing, but the investigator says to keep shooting unless you want to be in the ground. Well, I have no choice. One more time. But why? Why would she cover for me at a time like this? You're not invulnerable like me. No, not again. Mother. She closed her eyes as she said her last words before she died, and there was silence and darkness wrapped me in a cold blanket. I saw her again. She was surprised that I never cried, but at such a moment tears flowed from me. She said she was grateful that I was her son, I was a blessing to her, and I replied that I would go after her soon. But the only thing she asked me to do, the only thing she wants so much, no matter what and no matter what happens, I have to live. Why was he so held back by Jarin? While there could be many reasons, the answer is simple. Pride. People take pride in their ability to understand the world around them, and fear what they don't understand. That's why he tried to eliminate him. I couldn't exist with humans. I could hurt or kill another human being. But, well, I would, whatever happened to me, whatever I had to do, I would live. Running away from the house, they got in the car and followed me, running through a field of dandelions, memories with her flying through my mind. I stopped to finish what I had started. He thought I was running away, but I couldn't do it there. Mom would be hurt. I'm so sorry. The people I've killed in the past and the people I've killed before must have had a mother too. Everyone is loved and has loved someone. Just like me. I clearly realize I did something wrong, however. This applies to you too. You kill without remorse. You destroy and ruin everything. I've always questioned that, why I've been reborn over and over again. And now I realize, you pests, I exist to exterminate. I jumped up as far as I could, and kicked out of space and flew a meteorite straight at them. You wanted to kill me, but you couldn't, and in turn, all the people in this world, every single one of them, will experience my wrath. Jae-in took Yong-sil and wandered aimlessly. Perhaps because he was tired, he thought he could hear Yong-sil's words that could no longer be heard. Words that he had heard tens of thousands of times. Jae-in replied, I love you too. The years I spent with my mom. For me, who has lived billions of years, a moment is like a fleeting blink. And that moment means everything to me. In it, I felt infinite love. I felt infinite happiness. But Mom's gone. She died because of me. No other life has ever been so painful.